Hello everybody, I'm Conquering History Games, and it is an exciting day. Today is the return of not just Hearts of Iron 4 to the channel, but Hearts of Iron 4 Equestria at War. And the first thing I want to do is I want to send a big thank you to the Equestria at War team, because some of you who do play Equestria at War will probably notice, wait a second, that's not what the menu looks like right now. And no, I have been given access to the 1.8 beta in the shadow of mountains. This is not necessarily the finalized wallpaper. Nor is anything that I'm going to play necessarily finalized, because it's still in beta. They're still working on things, so let's be forgiving if there's any bugs. But again, special thanks to the Equestria War team, and especially I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Anya. He's the one who worked with me as far as getting this the beta mod installed on my drive, because I was having some trouble, because I think you all would be surprised at how in fact illiterate with computers I actually am, all things considered. Anyway, so let's go ahead and jump in. So there's several new, I know it says here new in 1.7, that's just because it's in beta, but there's a few new nations that have been reworked, and the one that we're going to start with today is we're going to do a historical AI, as we just about always do here. And actually, should I have historical AI and just... No historical AI. We're going to play the Bakaran Republic, which is in the Riverlands, which you all know I'm a fan of, that section of the world. We're probably going to play Bakaran, and by we I mean me. I'm probably going to play it more than once, because there's a few different directions you can go in politically. And I wanted to do a gimmick for today's, which I hope that you will find interesting while I reacquaint myself with Equestria at War. So let's start with the welcome screen. The Bakaran Republic, the perfect storm, right here. Along the northeastern shore of Griffonia, the PONIES of Bakaran sail the seas, trading with their neighbors and collecting the ocean's bounty, as they have going back countless generations. Beyond taking pride in their unmatched mastery of the waves, Bakarans are proud of their ancestral homeland for being one of the oldest republics in the world. This strong democratic tradition and desire for justice has caused them to take a highly negative view towards monarchies, slavers, and despots of every sort. Bakaran lacks an official army, instead relying on forces from its prestigious and powerful navy to handle most matters of national defense. This navy wields considerable political power as well as military, and is never shy about taking aggressive action to protect their interests as well as those of the Republic. What dedicated land forces do exist take the form of independently organized local militias operating outside the normal chain of command. Although initially enthusiastic supporters of the River Coalition, of which they were a founding member, in recent years many Bakarans have soured on the enterprise, as the economic benefits of lowered trade barriers have become overshadowed by ideological concerns. In their view, allowing tyrannical regimes such as Diamond Mountain, which is here, Diamond Mountain, Nimbusia, or Vittenland to join represents a betrayal of the Coalition's founding principles. What would be the purpose of fighting against the tyranny of the Griffonian Empire, only to allow tyranny to take root inside our own lands? The upcoming election of 1007 has become highly contentious, with the campaign thus far having seen unprecedented levels of political violence. Deep divisions have opened up between those who seek to reform the coalition from within and those who wish to break away and forge a new order for the Riverlands. Hopefully things do not get out of hoof, because if the situation becomes too unstable, the Navy may attempt to take drastic measures to preserve the Republic. Here's some regional stuff. Here's some mechanics that you all should know. Go watch my introduction to Equestria at War video. Changelogs. I don't think this changelog is really relevant because it doesn't have 1.8 stuff here. But oh, that's good. Communist Griffiths is less suicidal. You do like to hear about less suicide. Let's kind of go through what we're dealing with here. We have several national spirits. We are the shipmaster. I guess let's start with our leader. So our leader is Water Lily, who was born in 964, rural Bakaran near Maribor. Born to a relatively poor Born to a relatively poor farming family in the rural countryside of Bakaran, far from the coast from which the nation is famous, Water Lily surely would not have expected to be where she is today. Moving to Bakaran City to pursue higher education, she became a teacher and was able to support herself and her new husband, a fellow university graduate. As a teacher, on a teacher's salary. Good for her, I guess. Good for Bakaran. So as a teacher, she became involved in her community and began to see the poverty that surrounded her in Bakaran. In an attempt to amend this, she ran for the mayorship of the city as a dark horse candidate and won against all odds. It has been many years since then, and now Water Lily, the head of the SDH, the SDH is the Stranka Druzbin Harmony Party, must hold to her values and protect democracy and unity against Bakaran against huge odds. This isn't just the classroom anymore. Portrait by Scroop. Sending love to you, brother. Hope you're doing all right. So we have several national spirits. Shipmasters of the East, naval experience gain plus 0.03%. That's cool. I always like to see a passive naval experience thing. Not that I'm much of a Navy player, but I think those are cool. So we get a bunch of naval bonuses. The storied Bakaran naval tradition is unrivaled across the entire East. For centuries, the skill of our sailors has allowed our people to prosper and become renowned traders and merchants. Although outsiders sometimes find the cultural importance placed on Bakaran shipbuilding strange, sea power has served us very well throughout the ages. We've got, whoops. There we go. We have the Bakaran militia system. Instead of having an official centralized army, Bakaran's dedicated land forces are composed of self-organized groups of passionate volunteers. These militia companies, though quite enthusiastic, often suffer from poor discipline. So it's going to hurt our organization and planning speed, but we get bonuses on core territory as well as recovery rate and mobilization. I would imagine if we go down the military tree, there's some stuff that changes that depending on what party we are. Or maybe it doesn't matter what party we are. The Ancient Republic. Bakarans take pride in their nation for being one of the oldest republics in the world. This democratic tradition remains strong to this day, and many citizens see it as Bakaran's so special duty to stand as a bastion for democracy and justice. Can you tell I haven't been reading Hearts of Iron 4 stuff for a while? I'm kind of stuttering and tripping over my tongue. Teeth and lips and the tip of the tongue. So this increases our daily political power gain, increases stability, and increases our surrender limit. Nice. The election of 1007 is coming up, which actually hurt our political power gain by 15%, but acceptance of basically all diplomacies is up by 25%. This year's upcoming election has become highly contentious with the different parties' incompatible visions for Bakaran's future, exposing deep societal divisions. The campaign has already seen unprecedented levels of political violence, and many further wars is yet to come. We are a Treaty of Coldstream member, so basically we were one of the founders in 898 of the River Coalition after Emperor Grover II failed to... Well, he sort of did successfully invade the River Coalition and destroyed quite a bit of it until he was killed by a Nimbusian. By the way, definitely go check out my Yale Rectorate campaign. Spoilers for, I think, episode 2 of that. I resurrect Grover II's corpse and start reforming the Griffonian Empire under him. It was one of my favorite campaigns of 2019. I highly recommend it. And I'm just saying that I recorded that before anybody else did on YouTube, and I noticed that people suddenly were able to succeed as Yale after they saw how I did it. Just throwing that out there. Just throwing it out there. Just saying it. Just saying I'm a trendsetter. Anyway, and we have modest illiteracy because it wouldn't be a campaign in Griffonia if there wasn't illiteracy. Despite continued efforts, half of the population in the country remains illiterate, with many being unable to obtain a higher education, hurting our construction speed and research speed. That's pretty standard. I hate to say it, but it is. Alright, the first thing I want to do, though, we're actually going to do Dreams of a Federation. The Treaty of Coldstream was designed in such a way that the coalition members could choose to expand the treaty to certain policy areas. It is a far cry from true political unity. By breaking open discussion about expanding the treaty, we might be able to step in the direction of a true river federation. I like to go for this just because it gives that quick 125 political power. Alright, let's do the research stuff real quick, and then I'm going to talk about the game plan and my gimmick for this episode, or the series, I should say. Let's get some infrastructure going. What else we got here? Some dockyards. We'll just do convoys for now. Maybe not even that. Okay, we've got our military here with our Republican Marine Guard, which is the Special Forces here. And we have our militias, which are, well, they're just plain old not that great. Okay, who do we have for field marshals? Tough Bunker. He is a pony. Oh, is this new? Own operative detection chance factor plus 10%. Operative effectiveness minus 10%. Operation cost plus 10%. Ponies are small, colorful, and sentient equines. The term pony traditionally encompasses three subgroups, which are the earth ponies, the pegasi, and the unicorns. Earth ponies are characterized by... Okay, this is just explaining what a pony is, but this is interesting. I don't think... This must be something that's updated since last I played. Where, okay, so I guess there's modifications. Is there a way for me to... I guess I'll have to wait until I'm fighting, but I wonder out there, like, what kind of changeling modifiers there are, for example. Okay, so... Who do we want here? Reckless. Feckless. I guess we'll go with probably the skilled staffer. Keen perspective. Flight risk. I like these names. Keen perspective. That's awesome. Let's do... No, can't do scavenger yet. Right, I don't have the points. Okay, so I was just doing that to temporarily kind of set that up. And let's just surround the capital. Doesn't really matter. Do we want to trade for steel? No. You know what? I'm just realizing that the Equestria War mod color thing is not up to date. Okay. We are definitely short on some things. Okay, so let's talk about mechanics and how this is going to work. So we have the politics of the Riverlands here, which is a key part, of course, whenever you play as the any river coalition thing. But this is the important part. Oh yeah, I guess I should wait. Hold on a sec. So we've got the politics of the Riverlands, which just basically explains like we're in a coalition. It's sort of an EU style thing, and they could potentially become united. Sometimes it's got to be through violence. Sometimes it could be peaceful. Sometimes it's a mix. Especially when you have the historical AI turned off, it could go in a lot of different directions. And then down here is the Dreams of the Federation, which is basically showing who's in the lead in terms of forming it, because whoever's the one who's actually going to form it is the one who's going to be able to control it later. And then you have your usual propaganda and political action and stuff like that. So this is the important part. The presidential race. Let's talk about who these all are. We are currently the SDH, which is Harmony, and then the BSP, which is yellow on that other screen, is the gray ones there that aren't aligned, okay? And then, of course, the red and the gray are, you know, pretty obvious. So, in the upcoming election, there are 4 parties with any chance of emerging victorious. The BFZ, led by Firm Scow, the fascists, are vocally opposed to what they view as a corrupt river coalition and instead wish to see the Riverlands freed from tyranny and united under Bakaran leadership. The T-Dips BSP believe in preserving liberty first and foremost and are promising limited government and maximum freedom for Bakaran's citizens. The incumbent SDH, Harmonists, headed by President Waterlily, are fierce supporters of the River Coalition and view the project as the best hope for a peaceful and prosperous Riverlands. Finally, oh shoot, I just realized I don't have a thing that I was going to need for this, like here on my desk. Oh man. I'll probably just do a cut and look for it. So anyway, finally, Bray, Foam, and the ZDS seek to upend the status quo and bring economic equality and the liberation of the working classes, sharing the revolutionary Caramel Hayes' radical outlook. I think Caramel Hayes is the one who runs things. He's the communist leader in River Republic. In fact, many see Bray Foam as a mere puppet of Hayes and his fellow Rajikan communists. So right now, it's pretty even with the Harmonists with a slight lead. Electoral unrest is at 0%. Finishing the election at 70% or more electoral unrest will lead to negative consequences. And then there are things here where you could unlock who you're going to support. I think that when you decide who it's going to be, you are in fact actually locked into, okay, this is the ones who are going to be in charge. And then there's going to be several events as well along the way. So the thing is, though, I had something that I was going to use, and I can't seem to find it here on my desk, so this is going to be a quick cut while I look for that. See, I told you that'd be quick. I'm already back. So what I'm going to be doing, because there's going to be several events that pop up regarding how the presidential election in the Republic is going, And I don't know what any of the paths are, and I had thought about exploring them on my own time, but I wanted to try to get something up as quickly as possible. So what I'm going to be doing is whenever an event pops up, which is going to happen very quickly here, I'm going to flip a coin. I actually have I went into my little change random coin jar, and what I have here is a 20-cent euro coin from 2002. It's specifically the Irish one, so it's got the harp on there. And so we're going to be flipping that coin. I'm going to consider, so the harp will be option 1. We'll call that heads, and then excuse me, and this side, the 20-cent euro side with all the countries on it, that will be tails, so that'll always be option B. I'm not necessarily sure that that always is going to link up with what, I'm not trying to say like, oh, you know, the Irish side is nationalism, the other side is unity or whatever. I was thinking about assigning it like that, but it's going to get complicated, so we're just going to do it that way. Harp is heads, European nations is tails. Okay, so let's just jump into it. And so I wish there was a way that I could show you me. I swear I'm being honest about what I'm going to be flipping. And so I'm actually not going to touch any of these presidential race things. I'll probably just click one just to show you guys what it looks like. I guess, yeah, let me just do that. So just as an example here, you know, I click the SDH one. You get access to these different events, different decisions that you could do. Of course, I can't afford any of them right now with my current political power, but for example, arrest the Kova Sinasi. Arresting prominent black shirt commanders will hopefully disorganize their operations and reduce the influence of the fascists in the upcoming election. So I gain voter support, they lose it, but it's going to hurt stability, and electoral unrest will increase. So it can get a little crazy. I'm definitely going to play these guys again, and I'll probably do a poll in my community tab over who I should support. Of course, it'll be whoever. I won't list whoever I end up being in this one. But I just thought it would be fun to do the coin flip method to show the instability that's going on in the country over this, you know, election. Okay. So let's get going. I'm 5 speed here. We should be getting the first ones popped up here soon. And I guess it wouldn't hurt to have some sort of militia unit training, something. And so I don't even know what we're going to do. I don't know if we're going to try to do the coalition or what. And also, in the meantime, it'll be interesting to see what else is going on in the world. Of course, first thing you always got to keep your eye on is the Griffonian Liberation Army and how that's going. So while we wait for the first event, other nations that have been reworked is, I think Hellquill got switched up a little bit, or they're going to have it switched up. And there's also Vittenland over here, who I never ended up playing when the Riverlands first came out, so I guess it kind of worked out for me. And Osterland down here as well, the deer. Anyway, the March of the Proletariat. And so that this is the cause of our movement, that the poor may not continue their subservience to the capitalist classes, that they may never feel the weight of tyranny on their shoulders, and may be free from the chains that still hold to them. Bray Foam's continued speech brought on cheers and shouts from the assembled crowd of ponies in the dock district of Bakaran City. Excuse me. The ZDS rallies had recently intensified throughout the city in the run-up to the 1007 election, setting many in the town on edge. As the communists rallied, the other Bakaran citizens looked on in a mix of interest, curiosity, and fear. Bray Foam's speech began to reach a crescendo, riling the crowd into even further frenzy. And so our new nation may reforge itself in the flame of socialism and make for itself a new future and a nation, and eventually a coalition of our own making. Foam's remarks about the coalition worried many in other segments of society, especially the merchant classes of the city. They warned the government to try to prohibit Foam from making many of these speeches again, advising his radical foreign policy may cause a rift with the nation's allies. But just as well, many politicians point to the enshrined right to public gatherings that Bakaran holds, and that trying to clamp down on Foam may simply incite further violence. Whatever the choice is, the ZDS seems to gain. So you see, this is what I'm talking about here. So for example, we can say it's their right, the ZDS will get stronger, the communists will get stronger, or we can say in the nonsense, and they're still going to get stronger, and there's going to be unrest. So these aren't cut and dry decisions. So like I'm just going to be doing the coin flipping for now, for fun. Okay, so heads is democratic right, tails ordered them to cease with their nonsense. Coin flip ASMR, go. All right, we've got the euros up, 20 cent up. Order them to cease. That's tails, remember. Order them to cease with their nonsense. So we've just lost a chunk of stability, and they still got stronger. And yeah, it's just, it ain't good. It ain't good. So remember, 70% or more is when the bad things happen. I don't even know what that is. We've got the coup attempt in Lake City. Always interesting. I just realized I never did get around to doing the Pony Empire, or the whatever, you know, branch I wanted to do as Lake City, because yeah, I remember the Riverlands patch being the not the patch, well, that version when the Riverlands first came out. That was sort of, I think, the first time I actually saw other people on YouTube actually playing Equestria at War, because I swear I was the only one doing it. Yeah, everybody was playing Lake City, which is what led me to play Nimbusia, because I wanted to do something different, and Nimbusia was real fun too. Alright. Radio Bakarska Enots. Alright. And so, remember, citizens of Bakaran, always stay vigilant, be ready to defend your nation, and stand up to those who would tear apart our traditions. Water Lily sits in her office, tapping her hoof on the desk. The closing remarks of the new BFZ radio show are worrying. They now function as a significant political force for the... Oh, I thought Water Lily was the one saying it. Anyway. This radio channel could spread their ideas, and this is the BFZ, this is the fascist speaking. So it's, and so remember, citizens of Bakaran, always stay vigilant, be ready to defend your nation, and stand up to those who would tear apart our traditions. This radio channel could spread their ideas and further normalize them to the public. The BFZ's meteoric rise threatened the establishment of both of Bakaran's center parties, and they seem to be going all out for the 1007 runoff. This radio show, for now only localized to the Bakaran urban area, seemed to be one of their primary efforts. Water Lily faced a difficult choice: let the show remain and risk losing support in the election, but possibly damage her rivals in the BSP as well. Or she could put her hoof down, try to limit the reach of the program, curtailing their scope to the broader Bakaran public, but also provoking more extreme responses in turn. Bakaran's democracy was certainly not in an enviable position. Alright, flipping the coin. Coin flip ASMR, go! Alright, we've got, it's 20 cent again, so we're going to say make sure it's a local hit at best. Electoral unrest increased by 10%, stability drops by 7.5%, and the supremacies still go up by 3%. Okay, so it's getting unrestful thus far. That's for sure. Alright, we're done with the Dreams of the Federation. Again, because I just don't really know where we're going to go. We're doing Spice Bark? Spice Bark? Silent Work Pony, just kind of generic political power game, that's all for now. And, okay, let's get the Economic Development Coalition going. Commission, unfortunately, jeez, I think it's also because I'm a little sleepy, guys, sorry. Unfortunately, our nation is in the midst of a prolonged period of economic stagnation. These circumstances call for the creation of a commission to take stock of the situation and recommend possible remedies. More factory output and construction speed for a year, but the more important thing is it's going to open up the rest of the tree. Let's kind of change this logo. Not a huge fan. Emperor Grover is dead. Let the games begin. Love leeches wish to trade. This is the Granite Cliff thing. I'm not sure they ever really... Again, I shouldn't speak too much to it because I haven't been playing. Oh, this looks much more... this looks much bigger than I remember. But before, I don't remember the Granite Cliff ever really doing anything ever. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the rest of the world as well. The Battle of Cod Street went out to members of the BFZ. This is the fascists. Rally now, O Bakarans! Your nation calls to you! The call went out over the radio to members of the BFZ across the city of Bakaran. Inflamed by a rumor that the ZDS was planning to hold a rally out in front of the BFZ headquarters, Radio Bakaraskar Nost called on all of its supporters to coalesce at the party office, and the crowd obeyed the call. Once there, the crowd milled about with no aim. The spontaneous counter-demonstration had nothing to act against, and so they created themselves a target, one Earth Pony, and the crowd shouted, "If the Reds won't come to us, let's go to them!" And so the march on 37 Cod Street, the ZDS central office, began. As news filtered across the city, various worker groups left their jobs and arrived at Cod Street, and eventually Bray Foam appeared as well. He called on all ZDS members to block the destructive riot from reaching Cod Street. And at the same time, police units began to mobilize. As the BFZ crowd approached Cod Street, they came face to face along the intersection of Cod and Merriweather. By now, the police had arrived, but they stayed away from the heart of the protest, not wishing to incite further violence. But as the crowds came face to face, one Colts picked up a rock and threw. The BFZ began to advance, trying to push the ZDS back to their office, and police tried to keep order. One last push is made by the advancing crowd to make it through. But at the end of the day, alright, flipping a coin. Here we go. And, wow, 20 cent again. Alright, so the ZDS prevents the march from going through. Oh boy, the unrest is rising quickly. I wonder if the if it ends that way, if it's gonna lead to frickin'. Does that mean the Navy's gonna take over? That's what I felt the welcome screen implied. So T-Dip criticizes the government. So T-Dip is the one in charge of the BSP, which is the non-aligned here. As you can, is T-Dip a boy or a girl? Okay, it's a woman. Okay, as you can clearly see by the events that transpired on Cod Street a few days ago, the ZDH government does not have the resources or the will to curb the violence growing in our nation. Water Lily has proved herself incapable of handling the current national crisis. T-Dip stood at the door to a popular restaurant in Bakaran, holding an impromptu press meeting with reporters, wanting to know her view about the recent conflict at Cod Street. I tell you, she couldn't solve an issue like that if the march were towards the presidential residence. But I must go for now. What would you like to do then? One reporter shouted from the crowd. T-Dip paused. I suppose I would ask the Marines to intervene. I wonder if Miss Lily would have the courage to do that. I mean, you could ask her, the reporter snapped. Smiling softly to herself, T-Dip replied. That sounds like a great idea. Here's a story for your papers. I challenge Water Lily to civil debate on all matters of national policy. I hope to see her there. T-Dip trotted away to her car with the throng of reporters following her, only leaving the reporter that had questioned T-Dip left. Looking out towards the vehicle driving away, Water Lily raised the brim on her hat. A debate. Oh, plot twist! A debate, huh? I guess that's how she is playing it. Putting her hat back down, she disappeared into the urban Bakaran night. A grand debate it shall be! So, the BSP are gaining. Does that mean the debate happened, or does that mean the debate is coming? She disguised herself as a reporter to ask her opponent some questions. That's kind of interesting. Interesting. These are interesting art. Star Tracer, Minister of Agriculture. Yeah, he looks like a chef. Okay, so the commission's done. The reason I wanted to finish up the commission is I wanted to come down here to Ponies of the Future. We must be proactive and take measures to combat the unacceptable level of illiteracy which still exists in our nation. A focus on education is a prerequisite for taking our economy into the modern age. So that'll give me some interesting new decisions. Alright, probably enough time for one more event. We'll see. What is going on in the rest of the world, I wonder? Wave breakers running Lake City. Okay. Yeah, the race for the River Federation has not officially begun yet. Alright, here we go. Here's the actual debate. On a starry night in the capital, an enormous crowd of ponies gathered inside the Carrick Civic Center to witness the grand debate between Water Lily and T-Dip. Up on the stage, the two rivals stood behind opposite podiums. T-Dip smiled and looking out at the crowd, while Water Lily remained focused on her opponent. Between them sat the debate moderator, an old stallion, and respected journalists. The moderator asked for the room to quiet, then cleared his throat. T-Dip, you have often criticized the current government for its allocation of spending. What would you prioritize in your administration? My foremost priority will always be protecting the citizens of Bakaran and safeguarding their liberties. To guard against external threats, we absolutely need greater investment in national defense. T-Dip paused as polite stomps rippled through the audience. However, as far as the recent unrest goes, I am not afraid to say that fighting and riots in the streets are the product of our failed status quo. These angry ponies distrust a government that has made far too many promises and failed to keep them. It's only natural that it would be blamed when so many are plunged into economic deprivation. The cure for all of this is greater political and economic freedom. With liberty as our guide, we can unite and unleash the full potential of our nation. T-Dip brought a hoof down hard on the podium, drawing loud cheers from the crowd. After the raucous noise had died down, the moderator turned to Waterlily. You may respond. Where to begin? Let me start by saying that I too believe in liberty, but I also believe in fairness. Waterlily frowned and spoke with a somewhat tone. After all, unlimited freedom means the freedom of the strong to abuse the weak, and the freedom for the deprived to remain deprived until they at last waste away from neglect. If my opponent is to be believed, freedom is the cure for all our ills, but let me remind you that an easy solution is very often not one at all. It is an unavoidable fact that solving our nation's problems will require a strong government that helps our citizens, not a weak one that leaves them to fend for themselves. Alright, so coin flip ASMR, last one of the episode, let's go! And we have our first heads, the harp. Waterlily makes a good point, so the SDH gains voter support, BSP loses voter support, political power goes down, and harmony is strengthened. Okay, so we're going to end the episode there. The current standing is the SDH still has a slight lead, the communists in second place, and the fascists are fading fast. But really the one who is winning is the electoral unrest, which is up to 40% now. We're over halfway towards the negative consequences. So we will see. And again, I'm not actually going to be taking any of these decisions, which you could argue, oh, but you're supposed to do that if you're going for something specific. But also, I would say you're saving political power by doing it. So not choosing to take decisions is itself a decision because you're saving that political power. Anyway, I hope that you all are excited about this series. It's good to be back in Equestria, or I guess more specifically, Griffonia. And please be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and click the bell so you'll always be notified whenever a new episode in the series comes out. I'm Conquering History Games, and you have yourselves a wonderful day.